Well, good morning, everybody. It is 7 o'clock Eastern Time. It is time to start our morning session. Good morning. Thank you for being here. Let me go ahead and get my notes moved over here so we can get started. Again, I want to make sure that I see everybody in the chat room. If you have any questions, definitely let me know. Um, Let me find where I'm at. There we go. That way I can view what's happening on my end. Again, welcome. This is the Hawkeye Morning Trade Lab. I'm Brian White with TraideMasters, and I'm going to be filling in for Al this week. For those of you who are new with us, we are glad you're here. And Hawkeye, just so you guys know, is not any sort of hype room. It is not some blind signal room, as we mentioned yesterday. And our goal is not to chase every single candle move. Our goal is to be slow in the market, slowing the markets down, read what the conditions are, kind of get the weather of the market, and then consider trades that are actually qualified to take. The big idea this morning is going to be very, very simple. This is a huge news day. News first, confirmation second, and then at the end, trade last. So today is not a normal morning. We have some major USD inflation news and Bank of Canada news during our session towards the end of it, to be honest. So this is the kind of morning where the discipline part really matters more than the excitement. I'm hoping that we have a good time watching some of the movements, pre-market stuff, but I'm not anticipating any new trades. We'll see how it goes, at least not in a live account. So, and I want to say this early, every morning does not need a trade. That's the misconception so many people have coming into any sort of trading community, that every day means a trade and every day means we got to be making some sort of money. Not every day works that way. Some mornings are trade mornings. So some mornings are our training mornings. So today, I think maybe one of those mornings where the best thing we can do is teach and wait and watch. So let me get out of our PowerPoint. And again, just so guys, if you are new, definitely subscribe to our YouTube channel. We've done some major updates yesterday on that channel to make the flow a whole lot easier for everybody. I'm going to save, make sure I save this. It should already be saved. And we've got all this wonderful stuff pulled up here. Let's go here. So we've got our 8 charts. And if you notice, I've been up for a little bit of time. We only have really one pair that qualifies at this point, and that is our pound yen. But I am a little leery of it, but we're going to pull that up first just to keep it on our charts. So that's not what I wanted to do. Wrong button. Pull this one up here, and we can tell the reason it's the only one that's got a 5. There's nothing that has it. Now notice we drew this line a few days back. Yesterday we were hanging in this area here. There is no signal. It's coming back to a pullback area, kind of the area we talked about yesterday. So we may jump into this just a little bit later, but let's do our normal morning routine, giving us a market feel. So you're seeing 8 pairs. We don't trade all 8 pairs at one time. This is kind of our radar screen. We have some additional pairs over on the right. Um, just want to make sure that you guys are, give you a quick reminder that before we look at anything, everything we do here is for educational purposes. Please let me know if you can see my screen and hear my voice. That will be also helpful. Thank you very much. That's fantastic. We are not going to be giving any sort of financial advice. We are not going to tell you anyone when to buy or sell a particular trade. Each trader, you are responsible for whatever decision you make, own risk, your own, knowing your own risk and viewing your own account. So just be aware of that. Looks like our pound yen has kind of flipped to the 5-2, and we're going to see Hercules move a lot today. Now we've got the US dollar strength on the Aussie US, and notice how it's tanking. So keep an eye as we're going through our notes this morning. Keep an eye on those Hawkeye numbers because it is the 7 o'clock hour Eastern, and we're starting to see some more movement. Yesterday we saw very little movement, but we were able to get a successful trade. So our job, again, our job this morning is not to predict what the CPI numbers might be. Our job is not to particularly guess on what the Bank of Canada might be doing. Our job, a better question for us to be asking, is the market clear enough for us to be trading? Is Hercules confirming what we need to be confirming? When I mean by Hercules, are we getting any sort of five or more? And there's only one pair right now, and that just came up. And that is our Aussie US. So we're using Hercules for our momentum, strength. Is price sitting near a danger zone? And we need to be looking at that. Do we have room to get to our target? These are questions we need to be asking. And are we trading the plan or trading on emotion? That mindset alone can save a lot of traders from a lot of unnecessary mistakes. And so I want to make sure we're going to be doing that. Let me jump into our Forex factory. Just today, as I mentioned, this is going to be a real crazy next 15, 20 minutes before we go that pre-market stuff. So I'm definitely interested in seeing how the movements are going to be and see if price was already priced in there, but I don't think it has been because I don't think anybody really has any real clue of what's going to happen. So let's start with our calendar because the calendar really kind of tells the story for the morning. As we mentioned, we have U.S. Major inflation data at 7:30 Central Time. That's 8:30 Eastern. So we've got some time, but we're going to see some moving and some shaking beforehand. So we got to be real careful. That does include our core CPI. Month over month and the year over year, as well as month over CPI month over month as a regular CPI. We got core and non-core. So, and that is a major event for the dollar. So this is going to impact our DXY that we will be looking at. It's going to impact our Euro US, Pound US, Aussie US, US yen, US CAD, gold, indices, and it's going to definitely affect sentiment across the board. So later on this morning, we're going to have the Bank of Canada rate statement, which should be fun. At 8:45 Central, we'll probably be done with our session, but we'll keep an eye on it. Our session is going to be recorded, so yes, you guys can watch the video of the first 15 to 20 minutes to see how it all shakes out. They are also going to be talking about the overnight rate. The Bank of Canada press conference will be at 9:30 this morning. So that means the US CAD is going to be especially dangerous today. It may be very active, but that does not mean it is safe to trade. So our news posture is this. We're going to respect the event risk. We do not want to force trades before the CPI at all. We want to wait for a market to respond, settle, and then confirm. Just a little nugget for you guys. A setup before major news is not automatically a setup that's going to be a great setup for you to automatically make money. Be very, very careful with the news. And let's go ahead and move into our dollar. I'm going to blow this one up. We still got only one pair that's even close. And notice what it's doing. It is all over the place. So we didn't get a signal of any sort, but we've got this 6-0. We had this pullback here. I have no problem. Let me see what the measurement. We may take this as we're reviewing some other things. That is a 9 pip. I'm going to go ahead just so we can have something to discuss. I'm going to go ahead and put a sell order in. I'm only going to do a small one. Again, this is not any live trade. This is a false trade. And I am going to go ahead and put my sell order in there. And then I'm going to measure out my stop loss first because I want to make sure where I go 14 pips. I'm not quite as quick on this as a short position, so I'm going to put that here like so. And we got in at, call that 6, so we're going to be 14. That's going to be at the 20 mark. So we're not too far off there. We'll put that right there. And then we're going to do our 1.25. So this is where we got to go. It looks a little worse than it is. I'm going to go ahead and put my stop here. It looks pretty good with that. And then I'm going to confirm that. Take this, drop that down, and confirm that, and we can walk away right now. We do want to be aware of that if it does come back down to our 10 pip move per our rules, that we are able to get that. So I am going to measure off from 6. That's going to put me down in this area here. Let me measure just to make sure. I'm going to be right there at 69.96. So I'm going to put a little line there so I can keep my eyes on it. Because yesterday we had one of these and I wasn't quite as sharp on it. Oops, right there. That's a little high. There we go. And I'll drag that down. So we just barely missed it before, and we'll see what happens. Now we've got some signals coming in on Sentinel. Not a big deal. I'm going to close this off. We already kind of sitting at 6-0. It's really our only one. So let's head back to what we were going to talk about. Again, this first 15 minutes is going to be heavy in getting the market weather, and you can already start seeing the price being for the dollar getting stronger, but we do have supply. So let's look at this DXY because the dollar is kind of going to give us the weather report for the morning. And starting with a higher time frame, I want to go up to, let's see if I can go up to the 4 hour on this thing and give you guys a picture. So as we can see, the DXY has made a strong push forward recently. We talked about that yesterday. It's now sitting in an important decision area, as we mentioned yesterday. We've got a wedge pattern building up. It is not freely trending in any open space. It's at kind of working near overhead structure and some major levels. So it's not giving us any clear direction. This is what we're going to be watching when that news comes out. You can see the wedge pattern. If you drew a line here and a line here, you'd see it's kind of consolidating. It's waiting for that news, just like we mentioned yesterday. Dropping down to the 1 hour, you get a little bit different picture, but it's still telling the same thing. Very, very flat, constricted, doesn't know where to go. We do have some strength coming in, but you can very, very easily see that the 1 hour chart has compressed. So the pullback from the recent high, but it had not completely broken that pullback from the recent high. Let's jump to the 15-minute chart. Blow that up a little bit. Ugh. And this is why we don't really trade anything. Notice that just kind of sitting there. And that means our trade that we just got into is still sitting there, but we'll see how it goes. On the 15-minute chart, we can see the same thing a little bit more clearly. Price is moving sideways, slightly down, I guess you would say, until the recent candle. It's sitting in a short-term range. It's not giving us any clear commitment to any direction before the CPI. So basically, the message of the dollar today is dollar's not giving us any sort of clean pre-news direction. If the dollar does break that high after the CPI and it holds, that could definitely support the US yen, US CAD, and pressure the Euro US, pound US, and the Oz US. But if it breaks lower after that CPI and then that holds as well, then you're going to see the Euro US, pound US, and Oz US and possibly gold respond a little bit higher. So, but before the news, we were just guessing, and Hawkeye is definitely not built on the guessing. So, if I was going to give you a little nugget on the dollar, we definitely jumped in real early on this. But we're going to do it for education purposes, not because I'm trading live, because I'm not trading live. The nugget is do not trade the dollar story before the dollar actually tells you what it's going to be doing. And with that being said, we're going to pop into gold real quick and let's look at the gold on that 4 hour chart and you can see what we were just talking about. We are in a very critical place with gold. Gold is important today because it often reacts to the it will often act sharply to inflation news and dollar movement. So on the higher time frame, as we're seeing, gold has definitely been under pressure. It has been trending lower and sitting closer to that larger support area on the floor there. That tells us that the bigger picture is definitely not cleanly bullish. Looking at the 1 hour chart, again, Sherlock's kind of telling you the story. Gold is still weak and it seems to be wanting to press lower. But this is also where traders will need to be real careful. When everybody starts selling, that might be the time to accumulate. And we're going to be doing a lot of talk in the near future on wealth accumulation instead of just trading and investing. So when price is already extended into key areas before major news, chasing this type of thing can be extremely dangerous. So gold is telling us two things. There is downside pressure, and hopefully you guys can recognize that using your Sherlock. But we're also sitting near potential reaction zone right before the CPI. So that means gold is not a clean jump in right now type chart. It is again a market weather chart. And again, if the CPI news causes the dollar to spike higher, then gold could continue lower. But however, if that CPI causes the dollar to fall, this might be our gold bounce sharply up. So again, we have to do our famous thing, wait. So our nugget for gold, I would say, if I was giving you one, I would just say when gold is near that floor and we know that major news is minutes away, just be patient. Just be patient. So let's head back into our overall view here with our radar screen, and we can see we are down 86, but we're at 5 still. So there is no Hercules number that other than the one we're in that warrants us being in. So this is either going to work or it's not. And so we've just got a little bit more to cover in our first 15 minutes. I want to make sure that I hit. So we're reviewing our radar screen. We're not trying to trade all 8 pairs. We're just going to be using this as an overview to just narrow down your field. Now, you have other pairs here that you might want to interchange here, depending on how you want to do it. So if I quickly wanted to go to, let's see what I'm not looking at. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8. Let's go to the Aussie yen just for the sake of peeking. I'm going to put it down here in the US. I could add some more pairs and I could quickly look and see that that's a 3-0. It's not going to be what I want to do. US Swiss is a 5-2. It's not what I want to do. It doesn't give me the numbers. Or you can create another vision and show the whole Hercules and get your chart knowing exactly what's where. I like what we're doing here. It's easy for me and getting used to quickly look at all the different pairs we're keeping an eye on and looking for that spread that is 5 or more. So if we are disciplined, we cannot pretend the board is actually stronger than it is because it's not. The better is the market is just going to be waiting. The board is compressed. The major catalyst that we talked about hasn't happened yet. So that doesn't mean it's not going to happen today. It just means that we need to be waiting patiently. In my opinion, our watch list, just looking at obviously our Aussie US right now seems to be our major pair, but I would keep an eye on that pound yen, even potentially US yen. Looking at US CAD, not really my favorite, although the CAD is the strongest one right now. So if you really wanted to potentially find a pair and really kind of thrust yourself, you could look at CAD, Aussie CAD. I don't trade the Aussie CAD, but if you strictly wanted to go on the momentum, you could do so. Let's go looking here. Maybe the pound US. But that's going to be later on when the CPI actually gives us something to look at. And again, our watch list is not a trade list, it's just a preparation list. Let's look at this real quick while we're still sitting here in limbo land. I want one of the most important pairs in our weather is the pound yen and the US yen. So I'm going to blow up the pound yen and I want to take a look briefly at why it's such a huge piece and looking at it on the 4 hour. You guys should be able to recognize that it is pushing upward on the higher time frame. It's been pushing upward. It's also approaching some major overhead area, and that is important. So when you drop down to that 1 hour chart, it's definitely more clear. We can see the strength, but we can also see the price is not that far away from the resistance. So when we drop it back down, and we're using that multiple time frame analysis thing, when we drop it back down into that 15-minute chart, we can realize that price is actually pushing higher, but this location matters. So we want to be very, very clear to make sure that if we get into this thing, we need to be at least able to get 17 pips before we hit it. And if you notice, if we got in right now, if everything was perfect, right now we're sitting at 6.2. If that happens to change and it looks strong, we've got enough room to get our 17 pips. So that's very, very important to know. Now, if we get in too late, not the case. So that's a great opportunity to kind of keep an eye on the pound yen as well. And this is the perfect teaching chart, in my opinion. Let me bring that back down. We'll keep an eye on Hercules. We're not going to chase Hercules. We're going to let it sit and brew for a while. We're here at 5 again. Just let it sit. It's going to flip all over the place. We saw some early flips at the 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock hour, but I think it's going to settle down for a while. So this was good for us. That it's probably going to inch very, very slowly like it did yesterday. So we really want to see our on this chart here. We really want to see price come back right like it did, almost like an engulfing candle. It would be great if it happened in the next 15 minutes, but if it doesn't, that's kind of what we're looking at. And let's see, what do we want to miss on this? We don't, okay, I'm looking at this. So with the pound yen, I really like it, but what would need to happen, we either need a clean pullback, which we haven't really had into that structure, and Hercules is strong, or we need a break. And that break kind of puts us kind of tight to our 17, still works. But strength at resistance is not the same thing as a qualified trade. Now, knowing this one's kind of looking fun, let's look at the US yen on the 4 hour to get the same kind of picture. These two are the most important, and getting a good weather. And definitely, you can definitely see we've been pressing upward. But notice where it's sitting at 160 area. We mentioned it yesterday. The 160 area is very, very important. It's a round number, yen pairs. Love the round number. It's also a psychological number, but there's no way we can trade this with any certainty right now. Um, that round number causes a great temptation for me and probably most other traders. So let me, on this 4 hour chart, obviously, US has been strong. It's definitely approaching overhead structure with Sherlock being there. Let me jump down to the 1 hour here. And it looks a little cleaner, but not much. I mean, we broke this area. This is where I'd get in. We've got a little bit of room here, 24 pips. It's not a lot. Um, man, that's the one. Let's drop down to 15 and look again, being aware that 21 pips is away. It's there. I mean, we've got some clear room. We are breaking, um, but we're not enough strength on the Hercules. So, what does all this mean? Oh man, Hercules spread is not clean enough. So it's not a Hawkeye qualified trade. So that means we don't chase it. So USEM basically becomes important after the CPI, especially if the DXY gives us any sort of clean reaction. But right now, it's more of a warning chart. So that big level does definitely create big temptations, but temptation is definitely not any sort of confirmation. Man, let's look at another one while we're sitting and waiting. This is going to be a learning day, I can tell. We're back up at negative 74. We're sitting at 4, so we'll see. We may tighten that up here. There's no reason to lose money if we don't have to, but I'm gonna have to look at that. We jumped in pretty quick. And remember, this is another teaching moment. This candle was fantastic. Let me blow this up so you guys can see a little bit better. Yeah, this candle, although it's red, was a bull candle. There is price something happening. Again, we're sitting at 7,000. I think it's still going to go down. I think we're trending down. I think everything's in our favor down. But there's something order flow down in this area that sent this back up and created a bullish candle. And now we just have to be patient and wait. Follow our Hawkeye rule. And I'll show you guys the trade plan here in a moment again. But because we have some US CAD news, I want to get the next 7 minutes before we really dig into trading. I want to make sure that I hit those pairs that are going to be impacted here in the very, very near time frame. So let me blow up the US CAD. And we've got that Bank of Canada warning again. Let's go 4 hour again, see if there's anything big. We've got room. It's been pressing up. Everybody can see it. So it tells me the U.S. has been strong against the Canadian dollar. But we're going to be very, very careful. But this one matters today because the Bank of Canada's news is later on here in another hour or so. And that can create some major movement, but we have no major. Remember, our CAD was the 7. Now our dollar's the 7. That should be looking good on our Aussie here shortly. So we're seeing again some flip-flopping happening with our Hercules, which we did not see hardly any yesterday. The danger with the US CAD is that we may see movement before the BOC announcement. So that movement can completely reverse everything once the rate statement or press conference hits. So we're going to be very, very careful with this. Going down to 1 hour, again, we've got the support level, but we've ran into, and hopefully you guys can see we've got this nice trend and this bend. This bend is flattening out and it's really kind of turning over. And we've always said the trend is your friend till the bend in the end. This is a potential bend. We created a level on a level on a level of resistance or supply, and we've hit this major ceiling. Obviously, that threw it down. So for me, the US CAD is not a pair I want to force this early. Kind of belongs on the wait list and watch list. Um, and here's a better picture of that bend. It's moving up, kind of. It hasn't broke down, but you can see that it seems to want to. And now the U.S. CAD is back on top, fighting for strength against the U.S. dollar. Okay, that is our U.S. CAD. Now, let me go back to our trade. And look, we've made a whole 80 cents already today. We definitely still want, I would love to see this. We got 5 minutes. I would love to see this candle kind of close looking like it is right now. That would be fantastic. While we wait, we want to make sure we use our time efficiently here. This is our trade plan. If you guys don't have it, just let me know. I'll drop it in the chat for you guys. And or I can drop it to you via email or Telegram as well. I'm going to pop my soda water, my cream soda, healthy water that I'm supposed to be drinking a lot of. Drop 10 pounds, by the way, has nothing to do with trading, but it's a nice way to start the summer. Again, our core focus in this trade plan, it's not the typical trade plan, to be honest. We really kind of basicked it up so you guys can have some key things to consider. What's our focus points and remembering, and then what our trade window is. Again, our Hawkeye session, I'll probably go to 7:30 today. Just because I don't anticipate a whole lot happening prior to the news, and we'll see how the news. I may give you guys a report on the news. Uh, the guys in the YouTube channel, I'm sorry, I just now saw your chat. Let me know if I didn't answer that question. My apologies. Uh, 7 a.m. to 12, that's Eastern. Again, that if you go beyond that, you're tinkering and you're playing and you're really not learning. That doesn't mean you can't hold a trade. You just need to have um, some constraints because your goal of day trading is not to sit around your screen all day long. The trading window, again, is not your permission to be trading the whole time. It's just the time of day that you use to qualify the trades. We have 12 major currency pairs. We monitor eight. That doesn't mean we can't look at the others. I do not use a fair value gap on my screen. You'll find that Al does. He uses it quite well. I don't fully understand it. I have Sherlock that I use instead with Hercules and Tide Fusion. Again, Tide Fusion is designed for the 4 hour, but Al has found a way on his system to use it with some different numbers that really bring him some confidence. Mine are just standard default right today. So just be aware that the Tide Fusion was designed for the 4 hour chart, not the 15-minute. We just learned how to use a cool tool. We're going to see if we can tighten Tide Fusion down and see if it even will work for its own standalone part for day trading. Again, our Hercules minimum is a 5 score, but you notice it says optional 4 or more. I really like 5, and the reason I'm liking 5 is as I'm a day trader, I'm not as good as day trading as I am swing trading, so I don't know the patterns as well. I don't know the personality of the pairs as well. So a higher spread causes me to back off and not be quite as aggressive. However, if I spent hours and hours and hours and I recognize that 4 hour or a 4 spread is working just fine, then that may be an option for you guys. I would only do that if you're highly experienced. We have some overnight and missed alert rules. We didn't have any alerts overnight, so we didn't have to dig into those at all. So any missed overnight trade that we have to do a retracement back to that area and still score 5 or higher and still have to make sure that we have a 17.5 pip target clearing. Qualified, we give you what's qualified. And just a red warning, if you have to talk yourself into a trade, it's probably not a qualified trade. Then we have our entry rules and our risk rules. We don't risk any more than 1% per trade. We have a hard stop at 14 pips. We have a hard target at 17 and a half. We have a hard, not hard line, but a 10-point pip move. We have found that over 60% of our trades move to the 10% or the 10 pip move. And once that happens, we take 25% of our position off and we move our stop to 7 pips out, just like we did yesterday. And that's how we remain profitable statistically. Once the trade is active, our opinion becomes less important than our rules. That is a major trade management piece. We're not tinkering with the stops. We're not tinkering with the targets. Well, we just got another Sentinel noticing, and we even have a no tinkering rule. Again, that's a very fear is not a reason to close. Boredom is not a reason to close. Small profit is not a reason to close. I think I know better is not a reason to close. Those are very valid thought process that we all have. We do have some daily stop rules. If you happen to lose two losing trades or a total of 2R, which means 2%, you need to be stopping and then be aware of your correlation. Okay, that is walk away rules. This is for Al, myself, and our team. Time to walk away when the trade is done or when we've met our goals and not keep tinkering because it's something fun to do. We have a discipline statement. And again, everything's here for your benefit. If you don't have that trade plan, definitely let me know and we will dump it to you either through Telegram, email, or what so have you. Okay, we've got Sentinel on the Aussie yen. I don't have Aussie yen pulled up, so let me pull it up on the US yen, see what we got. Yeah, I can see that. It had a Sentinel pullback. Again, I don't have enough for my day trading. I'm just not getting enough spread here. That's a 2-0. I'm not it guys, it could very well work. My bets it will work. There's our 3-0. And if you're using Sentinel, maybe you want to use a different Hercules scoring system. That's completely up to you. We will be taking historical data from last July all the way to now with Sentinel and doing some revamping of it, which will help us because it will include some of this nonsense that we've been dealing with for the past few months on the situation that we have. Now, we did have a close on our trade that we are looking at. I'm going to shrink this up because it does irritate me. If I can get away from that piece, it won't let me do that. There we go. Nope, it won't. Let's just do that and shrink it up and then move it. I don't like to see a lot of noise on my screen. So I got in on that candle. I'm going to put it right there and then we're ready to roll. I would love for this to be a 4 or 5 candle. Because of news, I don't think it's going to be. Um, I could be completely wrong. Again, we don't get into prediction, but we have a great trade here. And why do we have a great trade? In my opinion, we have a great trade because we did have a break here. Now, again, we did not get a Tide Fusion. We did not get a Sentinel. What we strictly used was the structure that we had going on. We used our Sherlock to prove the direction on the 15-minute chart, and we used our Hercules scoring of 5 or more. Remember, in the morning when we first started, this was the only pair that was close to being able to be traded. Okay, so we are definitely, and we can have this buyer's candle now. Now, what I like to do when I'm looking at these buyer's candles is this. Did I have a seller's candle that encapsulated most of it? Yes. Do I have a seller's candle right now? Yes. So this candle right now is not strength, but if this thing starts pushing back up again, then we know we have some sort of price order here. It's just common sense. Now, momentum tells us this is just a pullback time again. It's people cleaning out. Stops are getting taken out. Brokers are making money and people are losing it. So, yes. Yes, I will be. I did not get to. There's a couple videos that I was going to work on yesterday. Did not get to them. That will be on our YouTube channel. Let me, while we're waiting on this is since we're not in trading mode really, I want to show you guys what we've done. I usually don't break away and do this, But we did reorganize our YouTube channel to make it much more user friendly for you guys. And we're going to be adding, now this is the public area. We have a members area only as well. Anything you see here is the public area, and we've really organized it, and we'll be building our start here. This is going to be for our newbies who don't know anything about what we're doing in TraideMasters. It's not going to go into deep trading. It's not going to go into any sort of, it's not a Forex 101 course. We're going to leave that for the members only section. These are just what are you going to get with TraideMasters type stuff. And during this week, because we are doing a open forum here. We have put our morning lab in the public. Now we'll have all our sessions this week here, but after this week, we will have our members only Hawkeye section that Al will dump his 1 hour videos into as well. Same thing with the time savvy trader, just a little taste of what we're doing. And then we have all these other things that are beneficial to our people who are just curious. So we've organized our YouTube. If you're not part of it, definitely like and subscribe. That helps the community. The more subscribers we get, the extra stuff that it allows us to do within the channel, which is fantastic. We've already had 8 people, I have no idea who they are, since yesterday, subscribe. So that's a fantastic tool. So if you're not subscribed, definitely do so. Give us a little bit more organized library as we build library stuff. So yes, to answer your question, I will be working on the MT4, MT5 comparison today. In addition, I will be redoing a comparison of brokers of regulated and unregulated, why it's important to have a regulated broker. We talked yesterday briefly about our not move, but a option for you guys to consider another broker that is ran by a friend of ours. Again, we're not making anybody do this, but it does have MT5 up and running. I've been in it today early this morning because when I'm teaching, I can't seem to sleep past 3 in the morning. So I've been up for a while. Well, it just is what it is. So yeah, we'll have a few more videos posted. And I think the MT4, MT5 one would be beneficial to anybody. I may put the regulated, unregulated in a members only because I never want TraideMasters to be seen as what would you say, encouraging a particular broker. Legally, we're not able to do that. We can suggest tell you what we're doing, and that's what I'm doing with mine. Not that Novus is bad because I still have money in the Novus, but I also move some money over into Verity markets, and so 2 brokers. I'll probably go down to 1 to be honest, because it's at Al and I's age now. We're getting where we don't want to have all these brokerage accounts going on. But if you want to keep 1 and keep another, 1 for swing trading or 1 for day trading or whatever, that's fine too. Completely up to you. But we have some benefits with the Verity market that we won't get with Novus, and they're not major, but they're bonuses regardless. A great engulfing candle as we approach. I would love to see this touch. Now, Al taught me something that I'm going to be doing here. I'm going to go ahead and get my calculator out since I'm getting close. Notice I have 3,201 right here in my position. Per my rules, when it touches this line at any time, if price comes down to we're 3 pips away at this point. That's 3 pips. That's all. We've got a very, very low spread, 3 pips. So I need to be prepared to know what number I take off. And that means 800. So when it hits that line, I'm going to right click here and I'm going to go close position, and I'm going to do a partial close, and I'm just going to put 800 here. And that's going to give me my 25%. And I'm going to stay right here. And when it hits that line, I'm going to push my button and I will immediately be able to take some profit off. Once that profit's taken off, now Al's had got his pretty much automated. I haven't learned how to do that quickly, and he's overseas now, so I'm not going to bother him about that. Actually, I see him online, but who knows what his connection is like. Thanks for being here, Al, by the way. But we're going to let him enjoy the vacation time. And when he gets back, then we can hound him on how to kind of automate this to where once we get into trade, go ahead and set up the uh, the parameters of moving your stop and taking your profits. We may have a good little trade here today. Momentum's at 6-0, and we're just about a pip away. And what I'm watching is for that number 8 to turn to a 6. As soon as, and that's the only fun part of this right here is once I see that hit a 6, then I'm gonna be excited and I'm gonna I've yet to see it hit a 7 yet. So I'm not, it's crazy how we wait for that one pip. It used to be that Al and myself would get right here, we go ahead and close it because it's so close to our target. Oh, no worries, Al. Thanks for being here. Those in the YouTube, Al is the actual mentor teacher here in the Hawkeye. I'm just filling in. He and Debbie actually work the mornings, and we're kind of revamping a little few things in the early morning stuff. But he's on vacation, so he deserves the vacation time off there. And I know a teacher friend who taught with me the past 4 years. She's over in Switzerland right now, and she sent me photos of her um, jumping out of an airplane over the Alps. Now that I would do in a heartbeat. Now I may not remember it. Those who know me know that I jumped out of a plane a few years back. I'd say 10 years, 11 years, and it was a great ride until I passed out. So yeah. So again, we've got this picture of, and this should tell you something we should be learning right now. There is something order flow at that line where we bounced from the previous time. It doesn't mean it's not going to get gone, if you could say it that way. It's going to do what it's going to do. We're still sitting at a 6-0, if that tells you anything. We're just eating up buyers at this point. Buyers are getting scared, especially those who are manually trading. They're getting scared and they're getting out, or their stops are being stopped out. The broker could be seeing stops. Other traders could be seeing stops. Just understand, guys, be very, very transparent. At this point, I'm thankful that our name TraideMasters has AI in it because when we built that name, we had no idea what was coming in the future with AI and trading. And we are definitely AI trading and trading against people who are using AI. And we are building that same system of history, knowledge, and understanding of AI and tying several different AI systems together to give us the potentially highest options we can get. Now, understand with the current market that's there's no data or history that can back that up. Oil has just been going nuts. Nobody can trust anybody with what their word is. So you've been seeing the craziness since about February, March. So the cool thing about it is our systems are learning from the data. Um, it's giving us good information. It's telling us to stay out of trades, which nobody wants to hear because everybody wants to make money. But sometimes staying out of the trade is just as important as getting in. And I personally think that this is the best time to be a part of a community because other you can be in the same boat with other people realizing, okay, it's okay. The market's not doing what the market's normally done in the past. It is what it is, and you learn when to do the things you need to do. I've, every AI advertiser now that's coming to me with their stuff, I'm asking what's their recent reports over the last 2 or 3 months. I would say, I would say one out of every five respond with the answer. Um, because the other four probably are not having great results because AI is going to be using a MACD, it's going to be using a moving average, it's going to be using all the tools that we've seen, and price is not reacting to them like it used to. Do I think it's going to get back into what it used to be? Yeah, I do. And again, we're now at the 643 area. And what I do like about this particular candle is this candle chewed up a lot of it. So at this point, majority of this wick has been eaten up with body, and that's what we really want to see. I would have rather been out of this. I have a sneaky suspicion by the way this moves that the next candle would be an up candle. We'll see. We just have to sit and wait. Again, if there's any questions, definitely put them in the chat box. I've got both the YouTube chat box and the Zoom chat box. Welcome, James. I see you in the room. Thank you. Missing Jonathan today. Jonathan was supposed to be here today. And we will continue to record until probably 7 o'clock, and then we'll see what happens. I may open the recording back up and do a delayed recording of the news if I choose to be here. Again, um, not planning to spend all morning. That's not what day trading's for. I don't want to leave this screen. This is where it would be great to have a third screen for me so I can watch the overall market to see if anything's changed. There's our close, and this is where we could, that's nice. We're still sitting at 6-0, so we're just trading the plan. The nice thing about this type of trade, though, is every candle close brings all these AI and automated trading numbers like our ribbon. Our ribbon is a multiple of different moving averages based on stats. That's what the ribbons consisted of. And it takes all of these different pieces and compiles it into a picture for us. The dotted line is not moving averages, but it's based on some other things. And again, each candle close moves those even further down, solidifying our stop, which is up here. So we're still waiting for that 1.5 pip. And our spread's at point well, zero right now. It's a great spread. And by the way, the new broker at Verity will also, I'll teach you guys how to get in to the area where it's the lowest of spreads. And again, we will want you to use your team link because we do know the owner, and a team link gives us all connection with inside the broker. So when somebody has a problem, the customer service knows we're all kind of connected. And there's power in numbers. And I would highly encourage you guys to get a live trading account if you've been trading for 6 months or more and get live trading. Losing in a live trade is better than winning in a demo because demo is non-emotional and you're really not facing the things that you need to face. And in a demo, you can tinker. In a demo, you can change. In a demo, you can, I see this, and just like our tinkering rules that we mentioned. We just can't get through the bottom of this thing here. Again, the rule is once we hit our 10 pip mark, which is right here, once we hit our 10 pip mark, we will close 25% of our entire position. We'll then, once that's closed, we'll move our stop to 7 pips. And again, as we mentioned yesterday, everybody, we had the questions, and we're probably going to have the questions even on the people watch the video. Doesn't that ensure that you're going to be getting 7 pips? Yeah, yeah, it does. With the potential of reaching our 17.5 mark. Now, it seems counterintuitive, but it is not. Is this line crooked? I think it is a little bit crooked. I'm still looking for 6, though, regardless. Statistically, and we had to prove this by running historical data to get the statistics because we were doing things that made sense in our brain and it made common sense in our trading brain, but statistically and historically would prove to be detrimental to our account. So we were trading a 1-to-1. And what we mean by 1-to-1, we risk 1 to get 1%, 1% to 1%. And when we got halfway, we'd take half of it off and what we were finding out is the R ratio, what we call an R ratio, was sitting at 1R, which is okay. But if I can get it to 1.5R or 1.7R or even 2R is much better. And that allows you to be wrong more often and still profitable. And so when we ran these various different tests, we found that in this type of trade plan, going for 17.5 instead of 21 pips, that statistic, that 17.5 didn't come out of nowhere. 14 pip stop didn't come out of nowhere. Um, But we used to run a 7 pip target and a very small, and that was when we were scalping. And we found that 7 pips was pretty good. So we put that into the plan, thought, okay, we're noticing in this market we're not having any long-standing trends. So we don't want to stay in too long. So we're going to shrink up to the 17.5 target, move our stop to the 14. But what can we do? Because could we come in here and say, okay, I set the trade, walk away, go? Yeah, that's set and forget. We're in the trade. It's either going to hit the 17.5 target or it's going to hit the 14 pip stop. Yeah, we could do that. And it gave us the positive R that we wanted. But when we started running the data on it, we found as we tinkered with it that if we would hit the 10 mark, which we found that over 60% of our trades did, and we took 25% off and moved our stop to 7, that gave us a much higher R ratio. We also found that most of our trades, I would say majority of our trades, pull back to that 7 and tap us out. Why are we not upset? Because originally in our first day trading scalping stuff, we were looking for 7 pips to begin with. So it then now comes down to risk factor and statistics. So here's that positive one I was expecting. I was expecting some sort of a pullback. We're still at 6-0, so I'm not really worried. I'm going to close this off just temporarily. Go back 6 3 4 3 6 3 5 4 6 5 7 6 and 4-0. So the Aussie, remember our Aussie in was 3 and it gave us a sentinel. It's still been sitting there. It has not moved. So again, Hercules is proving to be the great tool of momentum that we want it to be. Now, I would anticipate this to go to 5-0 or 6-1 maybe. If it doesn't, it still gives us a buyer's candle. That's even better because that just means people are getting locked out. But we predicted this based on what it looks like in the past. It's doing exactly what you would expect it to do. Now, I'm not a big fan of this move, but we've been here before. This is that reaction all the way up. So what we'd like to see it get green and then all of a sudden turn red. That means the buyers are getting bought out. So we've definitely wiped out most of the body of this wick here, which is important, but we don't want to recreate another strong buyer candle. If this has been somewhat beneficial to you, definitely put a yes in the chat boxes. That helps me know if we're staying on target. If you've learned something, seen something you didn't know, maybe. There's always something new to learn. Thank you. If there is a video that you think would be beneficial for, we've already talked about the MT4, MT5, and we're talking 10 to 15 minute video. We're not talking these long sessions. We're talking a 10 to 15 minute video. What type of video would you guys want to see that we may need to do? We talked about broker video. We've talked about MT4, MT5 platform video. Um, is there any type of other video we're going to be doing? And we're going to be doing other things besides just currency. We're going to get into wealth accumulation, which is completely different. It takes a totally different mindset. And it's going to be very frustrating for me because I've been trading so long. Is there any other type of video that you guys would want to see, especially my non-members that are over there in my YouTube channel? Because that's really what it's going to be about. We want to, obviously want to grow the community, but real more importantly, provide content that's actually going to be valuable to you. Yeah, yeah. How to build a trade plan. Funny you should ask. Um, Already done. That's using Tide Fusion. A little longer than 15 minutes. I go in depth here. That's a good one. Yeah, and that talks about our tools. Yeah. Yeah, I think everybody should know how to build their own trade plan. Or you learn how to use somebody else's and know how to follow it. But keep the ideas coming. And here at the 7 o'clock hour, we're going to give it a couple minutes after the hour. Then I will pause the video recording just to keep it reasonable, and then we'll provide some updates as we go through the day. Other than that, this is where I get a little antsy as a school teacher. I'm not big on dead noise, nor do I like to tinker. I'm real good at not tinkering. Um, that's definitely not my struggle, but I like to have music. And so maybe tomorrow morning we'll have some background music when we're just sitting here in no man's land, really. That's where we're at. Let's look at the dollar real quick. Since we're not in any trade. Look at that pullback inside the zone. Again, this is a 15-minute chart. And this is right now, this is telling us everything we need to know because the market's not going to really move a whole lot in the next 30 minutes. It's going to start whipping here in about 15, though, I'm afraid. And so we have to make a decision. Let's go back. We're in the Aussie US. Look at how nice that looks. That's on a 4-hour chart. Now, I would anticipate we create a new 4-hour low, but I would anticipate price coming right back to the bottom here as a retest, possibly a little higher. So our stop is in really, really great shape. Notice also, though, that on the 4-hour, we're at 7 and a 0. So we're in really good shape. When we go to the 1 hour, calculate, we're sitting at a 5-0, and we blow that up, and we're in really good shape. Our one candle is extended. My bet is after the hour's up, there's a good chance that this will also create a Sherlock zone based on depends on what the distance is and what the wick ends up being. But that very well could be a new zone that we're creating. Notice we've gone from a strong green into a doji-like candle, which is what we want, and we're still at 6-0. So the push for this is that the dollar is going to get strong at this point, but we still need to look at our trade plan. And I don't know if we actually addressed news in our trade plan of cutting trades off based on news. It's not there. That doesn't mean we can't put it in there. Remember, your trade plan is a living document, not something you want to tinker with. But I will tell you, once we get to the top of the hour, we can very well see this thing move from here to here, only 19 pips, very, very quickly. There's no reason to lose money when you don't have to. And remember, when their news items start coming up, doesn't matter what brokerage it has, you have to have somebody here willing to buy it. Okay. And it can fly right through it, and you can be stopped out way up here. So your loss from that was 1% can easily turn into 2 or 3. So with that in mind, and we're being right at the top of the hour, I am just going to creep this down a bit, not because of anything I'm scared of, but just rely a little bit better on being a good steward of what we've got. It's not much more, it's a little bit more. Um, could we still get stopped out up here if it flies past? Yes, we sure could. But I'm just going to let it be, save a little bit of money. I don't want to get out of the trade because of the news, because this at the same point could go right down and tap me out here. And so I just want to protect it a little bit and not take the full loss. And then in our journal, we make note that we were trading right in front of CPI, and at a particular time, the market started moving, and it just got us out. All right, since we're not near our spot yet, let's see what we got here. 60, 63, 42, 62 on the Euro US, but we're sitting in demand. This one potentially could break down. Notice we got a crossing. This actually could be a tide signal coming in on the 4-hour as well. But again, we're sitting on top of CPI news, so be very, very careful. 5-4, no go, 6-5, 7-6, 4-0. Okay. Remember, this is the one that gave us a sentinel. It's still sitting exactly where it was. And remember, the Aussie is kind of out of the picture at this point. Their market's kind of closing down. And so, really, what's happening with this is the dollar. Um, and so we sit and wait. We're sitting 1 minute away. We do like the way the candle is turning out. It is a flattening of sorts, but I would love to see this thing not go any higher. We do have this wick over wick on that second. You can see the wick over wick there. That can we retest it on this candle? That would be a great reaction to it to move down. Again, small account, small growth, and I need to do a recalculation of my account because to me this looks wrong. Because I've got a $2,000 account and 1% should have been $25-ish, not five. So I've got to look at my numbers of what I'm putting in and not paying attention to. There's something I'm not paying attention to because 10% is 224. So I should be risking about $22, not $4 or something, whatever that was. And we'll find out what that situation is tomorrow, probably. Okay, we got a good start. We are at the 7 o'clock hour, and this could go one of two ways. It could get really stagnant and still for the next 5, 10 minutes, and then all of a sudden start going nuts. We'll see. Let's see if anything changed on any other pair. 6-3, 4-2, 6-2, 5-4, 6-5, 7-6, 5-0. Now this one's got a little bit more spread. If it could break, you could do a breakout here, but again, it's the Aussie pair. So in this case, it tells me the Aussie's just really weak. Um, Aussie's weak. Let's squeeze this over here just a bit. We're looking for about 2.25 here, and we'll see how it goes. I would love to show you guys, and we did this yesterday. I'd love to show you guys how this normally would work. We reach our 10 pip mark, and we move our stop, and we let it go. Be it. And once you hit that point, that's no longer a trade. You could go. You could take another two trades if you wanted to, if the market tells you to do so. Once you get profitable on one, it nullifies the risk. So really what the position size should probably be close to 6,000 on this one. So I need to check my leverage marks. I need to check my numbers that I'm actually putting in. And we've been waiting for that 3 to 5 pips for almost an hour now. So what I am going to do now, and you guys are welcome to stick around, I'm going to pause the recording and we're going to pick up once it does hit its 10 pips or doesn't, one of the two. So I'm going to pause the recording for now. It is now 7:02 Central Time, and we'll pick up when the market gives us something to pick up with. Welcome back, and it's about 7:15 now. The markets are starting to move right before our numbers against us, as we would anticipate. That doesn't mean it's going to be continually that way. We're back where we were. We remember we got on this candle, we were negative, and now we've had this strong, but we've seen this go from 6-0 to 5-0 back to 6-0, yet the momentum of the candle is pressing upward. So we're going to see if this is just people cleaning out before the news, which I would anticipate that's what it is. That means there's a good chance we could get stopped out. After we pause the video, I decided to move my stop down just slightly because I just didn't want to see it go whipping out. I might as well, if I'm gonna get whipped out, let's get whipped out with a smaller loss than a bigger one. Kept our target the same. I may end up regretting that move, and that's a learning experience. If a hard 14 means a hard 14, maybe a hard 14 needs to stay a 14. But right now, we're just sitting and watching people, most likely automated systems, because a lot of people have the rules 15 minutes before a new major news. I'm going to get out of the market or I'm going to purchase something. They're going to trade the news. So you're seeing a lot of that in this candle here. and we've now closed. Now we had a buyer's candle, we had a new pivot low established. So where our line is to get out is now a hard spot. And we'll see what happens. We're just going to play it out for the next 15 minutes, and we'll record the next 15 minutes, and we're going to watch this thing. So let's go ahead. We're still at 6-0, which I'm thankful for that we're hanging on to that. We're going to slide this over and let's see what's happening with our other. Keep an eye on any of the US dollar pairs because that's what's going to be coming into play. You can see chaos breeding itself. Now, you won't see our Hercules hit right away. If you're trading with us and you already have Hercules, you might want to drop down to the 5 minute. You'll be able to see things move a whole lot faster there. What I am paying attention to is our CAD is still 7 and our US dollar just flipped to, or no, it didn't, that was me, went to 6. So we're still high on that. We need, and Aussie dollar has been pinned to the bottom for about an hour and a half now. So what is causing this movement? What's causing this movement is uncertainty with the dollar and nobody's trading. Because normally when a 6050 happens, you're going to see some strong movement in a direction in your favor. And we're not seeing that. This means everybody's a little scared. So they're backing off. So we're going to have a little fun today watching this. Well, most likely, my guess is we're going to start seeing spreads increase, and we're probably going to get whipped out for a small loss, which is less than our 1%. But still, it's kind of fun to watch. And Deb, if you happen to see any pairs starting to take off, we did get a Tide Fusion sell on the Euro US as we talked about earlier. We thought we were going to get a sell there when it crossed. I would not take that trade in a heartbeat. Now, if you're trading Tide Fusion automated, you would see that. Let's see if it came. I don't know if it came across our Tide Fusion. That's the alert that's happening on the 15-minute. It is not happening on our 4 hours. So that alert did not occur on our 4 hour alert system. So we've had no alerts on our Tide Fusion alert system. Just so you guys can see what I'm talking about, that is this system on our Telegram that you receive if you sign up for the alerts. It tells you the stop, target, and where to get in. And it tells you all the wonderful things. We have not had one of those today. So this is using a 15-minute chart. Tide Fusion set at default, created a sell. Not saying it won't work. I'm just saying I wouldn't trade it. Okay, we're still sitting at 6-0. We made a whole 22 cents over the last hour. It's like minimum wage right now happening. We've got definite movement on the euro pound. 6-3, we saw the drop, and that's in the euro getting weaker. Look at the Hercules line here, flat on the euro there. Now I'm trying to figure out, there's some lag here because if you notice we have pound euro and euro yen, but the euro is not completely calibrated yet. Let's see what's happening here. Blow this up. So it's showing a 2 here. And my settings may be a little bit off. We'll find. Oh, that's why it's on a 4 hour chart. That'll do it. Now let's get into it a little bit better. Now I'm going to check and make sure I didn't get on a 4 hour chart. So I got another sell order on the euro. So it's telling me that the euro is a little weak. Now I would be more apt to take the euro pound sell if that was a 4 hour than I would the euro US. But we got a 4 now on this one, 4 on this one, and it's still not gone anywhere. Still a 1 here, a 1 here, a 1 here, still a 6 here, and we're lingering. We've now made almost $1 over an hour. We're raking in the bucks, but we are now 10 minutes away. And I wish we were closer to our 10 pip line than we are to our stop. That would be better. I'm not changing anything. Nothing's really moving quite yet crazily. But that Aussie dollar has been pinned. I'm going to see something real quick. Let's see if we can add a signal here, a signal here, a symbol. Here we go. Aussie CAD. Just curiosity. Puts that on. Oh, I got a yellow tag on it. So let's go here. Okay, so this is a 7-0. and it's not moving. It's the same picture we have here. So looking at our dollar, it's, oh man, gold is starting to tank. Some premonitions coming that the dollar is going to get strong, which is going to be good for our trade if it works out. That's premonition right there. That's not, and notice our alerts right here. This is people thinking it's going to get dollar's going to get strong and gold's going to get weak. There is nothing really saying that though. Mass confusion. We are now officially 10 minutes out from the news, and we are sitting at 6-0. Now, when we start seeing the spreads increase, that's really when things start getting shaken up. My anticipation is we're probably going to get whipped out, not because of the bad trade, but because of spreads. So in reality, in this right now, what I would do if I was live, I would go ahead and close my position for 29 cents profit, cover the commissions as much as I can, and be done. But for learning purposes, we're going to go ahead and keep it open, keep it on a recording, just so we can see. Because a lot of times, by doing what we think we would do, we do the right thing, and we can confirm it by watching the news whip us right out. And now there are people who have other techniques that they like to trade the news. I'm not one of them. Now, swing trading, the news doesn't really bother me, but this one's a big one today. Even for swing trading, the CPI numbers with the Middle East conflict, things like that, this is a big day. Big day. Let's see what we got going on here. 5 minutes, that's what it's, or 7 minutes from time. So we're expecting CPI numbers to come in a little lower on the month to month, a little higher on year to year, a little lower month to month. That's on the core, by the way, and higher on the year to year. Okay, the countdown begins. I'm curious to see if the Canadian dollar is in fact going to keep their rate at 2.25. I'm not convinced, but there's no impression that they really want to raise it up to the 2.5, but it could happen. Still sitting at 6-0, still earning a little bit of money. And we are now just short of 8 minutes out. Oh, goodness gracious. So I've got Pathfinder, which we haven't done for a bit. I've kind of put that on the side. There's our Time Savvy, our Sentinel, our Tide Fusion. This is for our market weather. If I want to just see the ones that really help me with the market weather, I can quickly go there. That's our Tide Fusion Plus, which I like better than our Tide Fusion. And then our 15-minute strike for Tide Fusion. Quickly can get to what I want to go to. Let's go ahead and throw this up here. Like alphabetical order, easy to find, except for dollar and gold. Okay, so we can tell that we are down in gold just by the numbers here. We don't have to look at the chart, but what a mess. But again, for me, I'm looking at this potential for gold as a time. If I'm creating a potential tool that will help with wealth accumulation, I would almost think that this might be an accumulation time for gold. Because at some point, this market's going to get real crazy, whether it be this administration or the next, who knows? And now we are now losing money, sitting at 5-0, which is really strange. We have such strength on the 5-0, just tells me nobody's moving. We're still 4-3. There's a 5-4-2-3-2-1-2 and 1. Yeah. This is going to probably stop us out with a spread. But I'm not seeing any spread changes yet. We're still very, very low. And we are now officially 5 minutes out. 4 minutes and 43 seconds to be exact. I would anticipate some more movement right now to get out of positions. It looks like our euro pound is moving away. It's sitting at a 4. The euro is flat where the pound is actually pointing upward. And that pound is what took our position from the US dollar being 6. It is now the 6. Canadian dollar still the 7. And now we're starting to see some blinking happening on the Aussie US. It would not shock me if we see the US dollar go to 4. But look at this USD, it's coming into a very, very structurally sound area. That 160. And what's going to be funny, and it's happened to me in the past. Yeah, this is not good. It's happened to me in the past where you had a big news day and then pretty much nothing happened. I am going to do something for learning's sake. I'm going to go back to where we were before. I'm just going to put it right back where we were. Because that would have been our original trade to begin with, leaving it alone. But here's my problem with where we're at now. We're sitting at a 5-0. We're now at a 4-0 blinking at 4-0. This candle was key. We completely wiped it out, but we came right back to this area and built it back up with candle after candle after candle. That does not mean it won't collapse down, but it doesn't look like it wants to at this point. What we're going to watch is notice that our Hercules is pointing down. Whereas before we've had flat, pointing up, flat. Now we're pointing back down. We really need to see this thing flatten out and then go back up again. And not so sure we're going to be able to do it. So let's look at our Hercules numbers across the board. We've got 5, 4, 1, 3, 3, 1, 2, and 2. That's what we talked about, the spread of Hercules. Great lesson on Hercules. We're back at 5, but we're still a very bullish candle. Now, those Sherlock zones are key on the Aussie US. About 2 minutes out, probably about a minute out. So let's look at this on a higher time frame to see if it's really going to be worth it. Notice our stop is in this supply zone here. My bet we're going higher. Notice this drop, base drop. This is where I'm anticipating. If that engulfs this candle, this is a tweezer position. Very, very, very likely we're going to be moving up for the day. Looking at this, we've created a doji, very much a very pinpointed with wick. Again, another indication we're going higher today. We didn't know that going into the trade. It is what it is. And now we just sit and wait and we trade the plan. This one's going to most likely be a loss unless the news comes in and changes something. And that may be what's being priced in. We're 1 minute away. And we should start seeing things blink, the pricing moving up and down for lots of pairs once the news comes to us. And notice our euro pound is now flattening out. Our euro US is flattening out to go to the buy side, showing US weakness, which is exactly what we don't want to see with the Aussie US. We don't want to see US weakness. We want to see US strength, and we're seeing the opposite. So the preliminary is that the dollar is going to be weak. So we're 4-0 now, 6-3. 3-2, 4-3, 6-2, 6-4, 7-4, and 4-2. So the US is moving down to the 4 spot. And this is what we call fun trading. We are now probably 30 seconds at most away. Yeah, we're 5 seconds away. And here it goes. Spreads have increased. Notice we're 2-3 on the Aussie, and we're going to get tapped out. It does indicate that the news is anticipated for dollar weakness, and it's going to quickly tap us out. And it should. Notice how it has not tapped us out and it went past. This is what we were talking about. Let me blow this up. I'm still in this trade. There we go. I got out much higher than my stop. That's because they didn't have anybody ready to take the trade. Now let's watch this thing. And we can really start identifying. Notice how the Aussie actually flipped. And it's not really the Aussie strength. The US went to zero. That means we are definitely weak. Notice what's happening across the board. The US, let's see what gold has done. Boom. We talked about that in our 15 minutes. Our gold said we were going to have a significant bounce if the dollar came in weak, and it did. Let's look at our dollar. It is crashing. We still have a supply. I want to go to the 4-hour on this to see what we really look like. We are still at a critical spot on the dollar, even though it's coming with the news week. It's engulfed on the 1-hour, still flat. We could have a breakout to the downside, but look what gold did, at least initially. Now, my concern is I don't think this is going to last. How will I know? When we come in here and we find that one of them did not meet expectations, this won't probably last long. My bet is we're going to come back and create another. Look at that. Yeah, I think we would. If our stop was way up here, I bet you we're going to meet our 10. So I'm going to remove this now because we did not meet it and we got stopped out. But look at this move. Sellers are still in charge. This was that prelim. Dollars back up to the 5. Oops, my bad. And this is why we don't trade the news and get out before, because we had a good trade. We could have been profitable. We can re-enter again if we want to. It's at a 5. It qualifies. The structure doesn't, but the Hercules does. We're at a 4, 1, 3, 4, 1, 2, and I don't even, that's not even that. We'll go right here, and a 2. So really, the pair that we had been watching all day long has been the pair that we wanted to be in to begin with. It just got whipped out. And this is why we need to take our trade plan, the Hawkeye trade plan, and put in there a 15-minute rule. So at this point, we would wait 15 minutes before we either take off the trade for profit or take it for a small loss, either one. And then we re-engage at 7:45 Central, 8:45 Eastern, if structure and Hercules still go. Now notice our sell for the Tide Fusion is going to probably work out in this case because on Euro Pound, because it is now at 6.0. We do have a sell structure here. So with that being said, it's still 15 minutes. I've got this break point here, wick, wick. I don't like it, although the sell is here. Yeah, I'm going to take this sell. I'm going to see if I can 1% of the bounce. And I am going to sell 1% now. That's a good spot. Then I'm going to come in here. We'll have another one to look at overnight and see how it worked out. I'm going to come in here and try to figure out, and I know what's happening is I'm measuring after the fact. 14 pips. I took my 14 pips. I needed to know my stop beforehand is the problem. So that's a pretty nice place to put a stop. $4. And so what I would want to do is a 17 pip. I don't like my target, by the way. Again, this is in demo. So I'm gonna put this right here for now. It's not gonna reach it for a while. It's gonna be a slow grind. This is gonna be one probably we're gonna hold for a bit, but I'm gonna make sure that my numbers are correct. I'm going to come in here. My order is here. And I'm I'm going to put this, I'm going to squish it a little bit if I don't like it. And then we will call this a day, giving us something to look at tomorrow morning as well. So we got in a little after the signal, Tide Fusion signal. Again, Tide Fusion is not geared for 15-minute chart. I want to be very, very clear. That's a little early, so I'm going to pull this down to 14. And then I'm going to take this to 17. Yes. Yes, if you notice in the green, lime green, it has target 0.00. Go to make that 17.5, and that's your pip mark. If you can get it to stick, I'm gonna leave it at 17.6. Okay, so then I just come back in here and I tighten it up with that. And I tighten it up with this. And we're confirming. And we've got something to watch for tomorrow. And based on this signal alone, I'm not going to sit here all day and watch this one. I'm not going to do it. We're going to let that be a set and forget. But we do want to hang on this one just a little bit longer, and then we will call it a day. Notice where we get, this is really kind of cool. We blasted through a non-fresh, which is typical, but we also blasted through a fresh, which is called level on level. In a news item, these level on levels don't necessarily hold. And these will be gone after, hey, no problem. Thanks for being here. These will most likely, I'm going to be leaving myself here in about 5 minutes. These most likely are going to be gone after the 15-minute chart is cleared and recalibrated itself. If it stays, then we know it just needs to be recalibrated, rebooted. But notice it did come into this other fresh one and then drop back away. What I really want to see is it going to close above one of these two? That's key right at this point. Because when we look at the 1 hour, all we did was go into that fresh zone. And it shows you the importance of Sherlock zones. And again, this one's the one, the level on a level. Even if it's not fresh, that back level is always our strongest, apparently, level. It's our wall, really. We do have lots of room, though, to the upside here. When we say lots, we're currently priced here. To get to that zone is 34. And you can call it right here. That zone is quite a bit of the way. So if you're day trading this, you're going to get stopped out if you're going short. And it continues to rise like it's doing. So notice we had a crossing. The Aussie is no longer the weak. So let's do a real quick recap of our Hercules numbers. We've got dollar weakness again. That's going to cause us most likely to have some other issues. We did enter a euro pound trade. It won't be near as impacted by the Canadian news as it would have the US news, but we're going to play it out and see what happens. If it's a loss, it's a loss. It's in the demo account. Again, we had major news come in. We've been watching it. We're sitting at a 2-0. Let me get this one to show Hercules back up again because I don't know where it went. Did I delete Hercules out of here? By mistake, I must have. So let me go ahead and my scripts. There we go. And it's calibrated already. Oh, it wanted to do that, so I'm going to trash that. That's what I wanted to see. So we're at 6-3. Not great, not horrible. We want that to stay on top, though. 3-2, 3-1, 6-2, 6-1. This one's going to be the one that we're at a breakout spot. We got this zone. Again, this is not the day to really be honest trading. We've had our first movement for the Canadian dollar to move down. It's now to 5. So we definitely have some movement happening today. And so with that being said, guys, we did a great job of going a little over what we normally would do on our recording. Hopefully it was valuable to you guys. Again, tomorrow morning, most important part will be that first 15 to 20 minutes as we do the market weather. And we will be here again tomorrow morning. So definitely make plans to jump in, invite some friends, and thanks for being here. Hopefully it was beneficial to you. God bless.